These shops, they're changing every life that walks through the door. Hopefully people come in our shops and see what's possible.
For advice for the next hero of the year,
Buckle your seatbelt. It is going to be a wild ride.
So there's our look at how many of our past honorees are continuing to make the world a better place. To learn more about them and all the people that we've recognized over the last 15 years, just go to CNNHeroes.com. Do you know a hero? Do you know someone making a difference in the world around them? Well, tell us about them. Nominations are now open only at CNNHeroes.com. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Amid the darkness, look on the bright side. Everyone deserves second chances, and former drug-dependent Sheila Araneta is grabbing her new lease in life. Thanks to Bayanihan Palengke, she can now resell fresh fruits and vegetables in her community in Caloocan City.
Hirap magsimula ulit. Natatakot ka na kumuha ng mga requirements kasi may records ka na.
Bayanihan Palengke is a collaboration between popular convenience stores 7-Eleven and courier service Food Panda. 7-Eleven uses their trucks to pick up the fresh products directly from the farms and delivers them to the Bayanihan Palengke hubs.
We have trucks that go out, let's say to Baguio, para mag-deliver sa stores doon. Tapos pagbalik, walang laman. Sige, pasakyan natin yung mga vegetables para makatulong.
Food Panda then takes care of the seed capital the beneficiaries need to jumpstart their reselling business.
Anything that we can do to streamline one of the main inputs, which is produce, and lower cost, that's something that we're interested in.
Bayanihan Palengke helps provide a new source of income to reform drug dependents and workers who lost their jobs during the pandemic. In turn, the resellers are also helping farmers up north earn from their harvest. Bayanihan Palengke is located at the new Caloocan City Hall grounds and is open every Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Manileños are next to enjoy the benefits of this initiative on December 10. With Christmas around the corner, Bayanihan Palengke is giving people in recovery the second chance they need for a happy holiday this year. I'm Sam Sidwani, CNN Philippines.
Good evening, I'm Ruth Cabal with the headlines this hour. Filipinos are awaiting the start of the new year as authorities are making the rounds to remind the public of the safety protocols against COVID-19 and firecracker injuries. Let's check the situation in the nation's capital. Our Paulo Barcelona now joins us live. Paulo, how are New Year preparations from where you're at?
Well, good evening and Happy New Year to you, Ruth. It's quiet here in this part of Tondo as we await the beginning of 2021. 6 hours before the start of the new year, we are seeing people just preparing for their New Year's Eve celebrations at home. Some communities, such as Barangay 181 Zone 16, decided to hold a raffle draw at the town hall instead of the usual street party to avoid mass gatherings. Others, such as here in Barangay 259 and 250 Zone 23, decided to forego big gatherings and buy relief goods instead to donate to victims of Typhoon Odette. Officers from the Manila Police District went around the city to warn people about the dangers of firecracker use. We just joined the team from the Padre Algue Police Community Precinct who reminded residents about the local government's policy on firecracker use. Just like last year, households here in the nation's capital are not allowed to use firecrackers and the use of pyrotechnics is limited to community fireworks displays. The Manila local government says community firecracker permits must be secured before they're allowed to conduct such displays. Back to you, Ruth.
Paulo Barcelona there reporting live from Manila. Happy New Year to you guys. In other news, the Cusi faction of ruling party PDP Laban files a petition to reopen the filing of certificates of candidacy for the 2022 elections. The petition was filed earlier today before the Commission on Elections. It also includes a motion to postpone or suspend the printing of ballots. In a statement, PDP Laban Secretary General Melvin Matibag explains there are several cases affecting candidates and party lists still pending before the COMELEC. As of November 25th, there are a total of 89 petitions for the cancellation of various candidacies. These include those filed against presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos. There's also a petition questioning the legitimacy of the two factions of PDP Laban. Keep it here on CNN Philippines to get the stories as they happen. I'm Ruth Cabal. Happy New Year.
I grew up singing Jose Mari Chan songs, and I know them by heart and like the back of my hand. And it wasn't just my generation, but so many others, including yours, I'm sure. So when JMC began to write his Christmas carols, everyone, and we mean everyone, couldn't help but grow very attached to them. And so in this CNN Philippines Christmas tradition, we have, again, Mr. Jose Mari Chan, or Tito Joe, and his children, Liza, Joe, Michael, Franco, and Angelica on Newsnight. Good evening and Merry Christmas to everybody. Hi, Liza. Hi, Tito Joe, Joe, Michael, Franco, and Angelica. Thank you so much for being here, in spite of the fact that it's just Lisa here in the studio because of pandemic protocol. So let's begin with this. I wanted to ask about 2021. What big things, challenges, events happened in your lives in 2021? We'll begin first with Lisa and then go to the others who are joining us via Zoom.
The challenge for me was really trying to manage the fact that I had a son who graduated from high school. Education, as you know, has been primarily online still. And it was difficult for my son because he was a graduating senior, so he missed a lot of the milestones that most seniors will have, like a live graduation and a prom and so many things. Even his exams were not done online. So that was one of the bigger challenges. And then not being able to get together with family as often as we would have liked, or, our family isn't even so large, but whenever we do get together, until now, we don't do it all together in the same house on the same day. We'll usually have to split it. My family will be there on one night, and then let's say Joe will come on another night with his family, and so we haven't had a large one. That's one of the challenges.
But you're still grateful, right? I mean, in spite of everything that's happened,
yes.
There are things that still made us happy, no?
Yes, and I'm grateful to see how everyone, regardless of their where they are or where they're coming from, has tried really their best to adapt. And I'm especially grateful for the teachers in my children's schools, because I see that they have tried their hardest to continue to make learning possible for my children, and to make them not so traumatized, I guess, by the fact that we're still in the middle of a pandemic.
Let's ask Tito Joe and Joe, Michael, Franco, and Angelica the same question. Tito Joe, hi, Merry Christmas to you. Again, like I said, tradition, we can't do away with this. We always have to have this every Christmas. So for you, Tito Joe, and your other kids who are joining us via Zoom, what are you grateful for in 2021? What are those big things, big events that happened in your life in the last year?
Well, first of all, Pia, I want to thank you sincerely for having us every year, year after year. And, it's something that we look forward to every year. But to answer your question, the biggest challenge for me is running the business remote control. I have not flown to the south. I have not flown to Negros nor to Iloilo in 2 years. And, I talk to my people on the phone every day, 6 or 7 times a day. And then, of course, as Lisa mentioned, the challenge is getting the family together, because especially Christmas time, because to me, Christmas, the joy of Christmas is doubled when you spend it with your family. And it's tripled when you have your grandchildren with you. And thank God, Mary Ann and I have now been blessed with 8 grandchildren.
8. Okay, Michael, what about you?
Yeah, Pia, of course, COVID took center stage this year as well as last year. So I'm just grateful that our family are still in relatively good health, and we still have a chance, although not as often, to get together. So I'm grateful for those special moments.
Angelica? Angelica?
To say the same thing as Mike, COVID and its associated challenges has been very difficult for everyone. But I am very grateful for the old friendships and family that have managed to help and nurture the relationships and withstand test of time, test of distance, and new friendships that have developed despite the remoteness and isolation that we face today.
I was about to say the same thing, no? Old and new friendships. I mean, especially those you meet online. And I think there's a line you always say, and I say to them, I hope to meet you when this pandemic is over or when things are not as restricted. What about Joe, ikaw? The younger Joe.
Yeah. Pia, I would say that the biggest challenge is also what they were saying. So safety, keeping our families safe, and the schooling as well for the kids. So we have a daughter who we had to send abroad. So we took her there, and we're in constant communication with her, making sure that she's also practicing, distancing and staying safe as well.
Wow. So extra challenging, syempre, no? We're not just parang there's not just distance here, even if you're in the same country, but when you have family members abroad and sending the kids abroad, no, it's like what? Parang tearing you apart from them. Franco, what about you?
Very similar, Pia. I think the challenge really has been on a daily basis to try to find, to not lose the hope, I guess. In many ways, we still find ways, to laugh. And I think that always livens the spirit. Despite, as my dad said, it has been 2 years. We didn't think we'd get this far. I mean, we didn't think that 2 years. We'd always think that, maybe tomorrow will be better. But, in many ways, that sort of hopeful mentality, I guess, has sort of kept all of us and sustained all of us, which I think is a good thing. It's both a challenge and I guess a blessing just to keep that hope.
Mm-hmm. Extra challenging, but still, like you said, an extra blessing. Syempre, like I was saying earlier, people look forward to your dad's songs, no, Tito Joe. People look forward to your songs every Christmas, and not just in Christmas, no. So, and it was interesting the way you guys were able to, for like Christmas 2020, to do quarantine recordings, right? So, Tito Joe, just tell us a little bit about that. No, how challenging was that, and why did you feel it was so important for you to be able to do that?
Well, as Lisa mentioned, we had to partition our gatherings. For example, one of our traditional the traditional things that we do every Christmas is putting up our Christmas tree. When we all gather, all children and grandchildren, we decorate the Christmas tree with ornaments and decors that belong to each one of them throughout the years. I mean, we've had this same Christmas tree now for many, many years. And so putting up the Christmas tree is like looking at our family tree. But the past 2 Christmases, we have had to divide, like, okay, the first night, Lisa and her family, then the second night, Joe and his family, something like that. So, but it's still meaningful to us. And so it's important to keep that tradition going despite the global challenges.
A Christmas tree and a family tree. We'll be back after this very quick break with Jose Marichan and his children. Be right back.
Conquering the universe was the ultimate, but there's more. Dahil tinawag ko ako ng Panginoon for a major purpose. To guide the youth, help communities, and to bring others closer to Him. Kaya I take care of my health through proper diet, exercise, and MX3 capsule. I am ready to serve. Kasi para sa Panginoon, hindi lang ako 4th runner-up. First place ako sa puso niya.
Mahalagang paalala, ang MX3 capsule ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
May pagbabago man sa dekorasyon, sa pangangaroling, at sa simoy ng selebrasyon. Ang maiiwan na damang-dama ay sarap ng Pasko na buong-buo. Sa Paskong Pure Foods, sarap na hatid ng Pure Foods Noche Buena. Sa Paskong Pure Foods, sarap na dala ng pamilyang bumubuo sa Pasko. Sa Paskong Buo ang Pasko sa Paskong Pure Foods.
Kay dami mong pinagdaanan, ngayon pa ba susukuan? Kung lahat tayo'y nabibigatan, sama-sama natin tong lagpasan. Sa bawat laban, hinebra tayo. At sa pag-ahon, hinebra tayo. Sa huling patak ng bagong tapang, pagsubok mo ay malalampasan. Sasama-samang huling patak, tumitindi ang bagong tapang.
Lalaban
Hanggang sa huling patak.
para sa pangarap,
Para sa pamilya.
para sa bayan. Hanggang sa huling patak, para sa One Never Nation.
When Christmas time comes around, I become a child again. Something about it just makes me feel young, like a child again. The time of year when there's magic in the air. Wherever I go, love is streaming everywhere. The people I meet on the street, I wanna greet them with a cheer. The first sign of Christmas begins on the first December morn. The reason for the season is baby Jesus being born. Forgive the hurts and disappointments of the past, and let us renew the ties with friends and make them last. It's great to be a child again at Christmas and all through the year. The time of year when there's magic in the air. Wherever I go, love is streaming everywhere. The people I meet on the street, I wanna greet them with a cheer. Forgive the hurts and disappointments of the past. Have your friends and make them laugh. Be a child at Christmas and all through the year.
Welcome back to this CNN Philippines Christmas tradition. Jose Marichan, or Tito Joe, to me and to many, and his children, Liza, Joe, Michael Franco, and Angelica, are joining us here in this Christmas special. So this question will go first to the Chan siblings, and I want to begin with those who are joining us via Zoom. So that would be Joe, Michael Franco, and Angelica. In the past Christmas episodes, our specials, I would always ask you about what were your Christmases like when you were kids, and you would make kwento about New York, for example, diba? And so many other places. But now my question is, what kind of Christmases do you give your own children?
What we do still is the Advent calendar. So our youngest still gets excited every day to open the door for that day. So, for example, December 5th, what is the surprise lurking behind the door of December 15. And so it's a countdown until you reach December 24. So that's true that continued with our kids as well.
Franco muna. Franco, what about you?
Well, naturally, I think you do what you know, right? So I think I've unconsciously been replicating the childhood I've had with my dad and my mom for the childhood that I'm sort of giving to my daughter and as my little growing family. I guess that's how traditions are made, no? I guess if I were to say that sort of togetherness, following the theme that Dad said. If togetherness has always been sort of a tradition, whether happy or sad, stupendous, or even simple ones, all of them are special. And I think that is one tradition that that I definitely am imparting, and I want my kid daughter to sort of get used to. No choice. Yeah.
Okay, well, Michael and Angelica pala don't have kids yet.
Not yet. That's right.
Pero madadagdagan din yan, yung 8 grandkids. So we're going to go to Liza now. Liza, tell us.
Well, when I was growing up, as you know, I grew up in New York, and it was really just our immediate family. And so a big part of my Christmas were the religious traditions. So since my eldest was a young kid, I would bring him with me to Simbang Gabi, Misa de Gallo, and I think my kids still look forward to that excitement of they're tired, but then I wake them up and I say, we have to go. And then I try to involve them also with serving. It's better this Christmas because we're actually able to go to physical mass. Because I think really, I want to stress with my children that that's the most important reason for the season, right? I mean, it's not about the commercial Christmas, so we still do that.
That's true. Tito Joe, this Christmas, well, kanina you said na nga, no, you'd always have to like divide up the family, no? So Lisa's family first and Joe's for another on other different nights. But this Christmas, what is it going to be like? Will you get together with the kids and the grandkids? Of course, given the pandemic, and then we have this new variant coming in. What are your plans?
Well, I always stress upon my children that, especially because of this pandemic, the realization that the spirit of Christmas is giving and sharing. And so what better way, what better time to live that spirit of Christmas than now, because a lot of our people are suffering, a lot of people are unemployed, underemployed. And so in fact, in one of my songs that we all sang together, there's a portion there that Franco sang, and I will let him now recite the words to that stanza of "I remember my Christmas when we went around." Frank, why don't you?
Yeah, it goes like that. It goes. I remember my Christmas when we went around.
Wait, why are you reciting it? Sing it na. Come on, let's hear that chant.
I remember my Christmas when we went around. My daddy drove us down to some orphans in town. We gave lots of goodies away. Lots of happy faces made our day. We learned that giving and sharing is the real Christmas way.
Wow, giving and sharing, the real Christmas way. We'll have more on this CNN Philippines Christmas tradition with Joe Mari Chan and his children on Newsnight. Stay with us.
Tumagal tayo sa dilim, laman tayo ng nightlife. Now it's time to live the light life. Let's have San Mix Light with the sun out. Hindi lang panggabi ang bonding natin. Any hour is now happy hour. As we drink up the light life, kumagaan ang feeling. Ang katapusan ng bawat kwento, may inuumpisa ang bago. Get into the light life.
San Mix Light. For my babies, only vet-approved Nutri-Chunks puppies. The only one with active boost and prebiotics na Pampalisto. Made with real meat with essential nutrients to help them grow strong and healthy. Happiness! Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks puppies.
Thank you, Ma.
ang Paskong Pilipino? Ang Pasko para sa ating mga Pinoy, parang gold medal. Dahil ito yung pinaka-espesyal na okasyon para sa ating mga Pilipino, saan tayo naroroon. At para sa akin, extra special ang Pasko ngayon kasi nanalo ako ng gold medal sa Olympics. Medyo mahirap, pero kinaya. At ayun nga, posible. At sobrang saya ko kasi nakita ko ang saya ng bawat Pilipino nung nanalo ako ng gold medal. Totoo. Iba ngayon ang Pasko dahil hindi tayo makapagsama-sama. Mabigat man sa damdamin, kaya nating buhatin. Siguradong mas tumatag pa ang ating samahan dahil matapang tayong nagtutulungan sa pagbangon. Kaya dapat lamang na ituloy itong masayang selebrasyon. Yan ang Paskong Pilipino. At syempre, para kumpleto ang handaan, dapat kasama ang Ginebra San Miguel. Kaya mga kabarangay, masaya nating pagdiwang ang Kapaskuhan kasama ang Ginebra San Miguel. Isang ganadong Pasko para sa ating lahat.
Well, the pandemic has forced us to value what is really important. So the question here is, what gifts are you giving this Christmas? I know earlier you said, Tito Jo, what's really important about Christmas. But can you share with us what gifts are you giving each other, if that's if that's okay? Tito Jo, you first.
Okay, so kids, what are you gonna give mommy and daddy this Christmas?
Baliktad. Oo nga naman. Oo nga naman. Sige. No, dapat Michael and Angelica should answer that question first. Sige nga, Michael. What are you gonna surprise them with? Clue na lang, clue.
Well, I was just talking to Mike about it. And perhaps just the gift of time and presence.
Oh, that's nice.
Given how many people are suffering everywhere, all over the world, especially many of our countrymen, at least in my case, I will be giving donations to charity or gifts in kind. And again, time spent, especially with those that I haven't seen in very, very long. I think that this pandemic has taught us the importance of being present and there for each other in this time of crisis.
So nicely said. Michael.
Yeah, Pia. There are certain charities and foundations which are very close to the hearts of my dad and my mom. So even more now than ever, during this pandemic, it's important to support these charities and foundations, which will really have a very positive impact on those who are going through a lot of difficulties now. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be more meaningful to our parents this time.
I love how your dad redirects the questioning. Tamang-tama eh. So, Franco, can you answer that question?
Yeah, very similar also. I mean, not charities definitely. Maybe a lot of them focus on the children because Christmas really is for the children as well. But I think another factor is that a lot of our religious institutions, many of especially our parishes and churches haven't had masses in a long time, and for many times a lot of the donations there and the alms, they get a lot from just people who attend mass, and since we haven't had that in such a long time, we make sure to remember them. So many times, I think through the example of mom and dad, we would oftentimes give them donations in their name. So I guess the surprise is which donation will it be, or which charitable
Which
institution
charity?
will be this year.
You guys are so sweet. Joe. The younger Joe, huh?
Yeah, I would say the same also, Pia. A practice among our titas and titos has been recently that in lieu of Christmas gifts, if we could donate to a charity of their choice, of their choosing. And so that has been actually a lot of the gifts that we've been giving this December to the less fortunate.
And Lisa, I'm sure you're going to say the same thing, but there's also an added layer here because, like your other brother, one of your kids is abroad, no? So
Yes.
ibang klaseng Christmas to.
Yes, yes. That's my son. Unfortunately, will not be with us this year. He will be the missing member of the family. So
don't cry.
Yeah. Thank God though for technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I studied abroad after college, you know, I would be counting my quarters or my, you know, to feed into the the pay telephone, right?
Yeah.
But now we're spoiled. And so yesterday, I spoke with my son and I was saying, well, how are you? And, you know, did you do this? And make sure that you pay for this bill. And then he just mentioned very casually, oh yeah, I spoke with Lolo and Lola. They called me and they call me regularly and they're asking how I am. So at least we feel reassured that we have that, you know,
Yeah.
because it's hard to travel now with the pandemic, right? You have quarantine and then testing. And so it makes it prohibitive to travel
Yeah.
as easily as we used to do before.
Well, thank God for technology, like you said, no? I mean, the very thing that we thought kept us apart before the pandemic is the one that's keeping us together. So thank you for that, especially in pag-Christmas time, no? When it's so important for Filipino families to be together, families all over the world, syempre. Final words na lang from Tito Joe. We'd love to hear from you, your Christmas message.
Well, I really hope and pray that this pandemic will soon be over. You know, so I keep praying to Saint Joseph and to Mother Mary to help us. But anyway, I want to go back to your question. And the first thing that I, you know, want to do is to protect the people working for us, our employees. You know, they're the first that you have to. And then, of course, you also help your parish churches. You know, I'm talking now to the audience. Your parish churches need your help much more than ever. So I want to wish everyone a truly blessed Christmas, complete with God's loving blessings of good health, prosperity, and joy in your hearts. And I really hope, Pia, that this election, we will be able to choose a leader with the help of God, that the leader who will have the vision to lift our country so that our people will have productive and better lives.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jose Marichan or Tito Joe. Thank you very much and a Merry Christmas to you and to your children, of course, Liza, who's here in the studio, Joe, Michael, Franco, and Angelica. This has been a CNN Philippines Christmas tradition with Jose Marichan and his children here on Newsnight.
Is wearing a smile on its face, setting the world aglow. Christmas is blessing some old lonely place with all the gifts to show.
Carols that float in the air day and night, and candles that burn with a warm, friendly light. But more, even more than all the above, I know this is true. Each day of the year can be Christmas if love is the gift from you.
When the season comes to an end,
and the New Year's just round the bend,
though they'll take down the tree as always,
more, even more than all the above. I know this is true. Each day of the year can be Christmas if love is the gift from you.
When the season comes to an end
and the New Year's just round the bend,
though they'll take down the tree as always,
and the bright trimming of the hallways, Christmas can linger the whole year through. It's you that can make this true. Let love be the gift from you.
Ang tagdumalahan kag mga katapos ang RPN DYKB 1404 kHz ang Radyo Ronda sang Bacolod ang nagatamyaw sa inyo tanan sang malipayon nga Pasko kag mahamungayaon nga bagong tuig. Madamo gid nga salamat sa inyo padayon nga pagpasulabi kag pagsuporta sa Radyo Ronda. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year! Ang iniya pagpanamyaw ginadulong sa inyo sang masunod. Reming's Meat Shop, nahamtang sa Lopez Building, Lacson Street, Mandalagan, Bacolod City. Miss Merceditas Ditas Montilla and Family, kag Congresswoman Marilu Arroyo, sang Quito Distrito, Negros Occidental.
DYKB Bacolod, mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas.
DYKB Radio Ronda.
For the first time since May of last year, we are seeing less people who are testing positive for COVID-19. The Department of Health says based on lab results on November 12, only less than 4% of more than 40,000 people tested positive for the coronavirus. These results are promising because the World Health Organization recommends that the positivity rate remain below 5% for at least 2 weeks before governments can consider reopening. But scientists are also reporting a new mutation of the very contagious Delta variant. It's called Delta Plus, which is now present in many countries. Most cases have been found in the United Kingdom. And again, it's raising a lot of questions, including how effective our vaccines are against it. What do we know about Delta Plus? And what does this mean for us here in the country? I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching Med Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We're here to build a healthier future for you. We are seeing hopeful signs of more and more people testing negative for COVID-19. But we are again up against a new mutation of the Delta variant, which is claimed to be more transmissible. To help us with today's discussion, let's welcome Dr. John Wong. He's an epidemiologist and the Senior Technical Advisor of Epimetrics. Also with us is Dr. Mark Edsel Ayes. He's the head of Clinical Genomics Laboratory at the Philippine Genome Center. Let's start with some good news. Dr. John, let's explain to our viewers these hopeful numbers. Ano? So, gumaganda ang situation natin. Less people are testing positive for COVID-19. What could be mainly attributed to this? Are Filipinos doing the right thing in combating the virus? Or is this a natural progression of any pandemic?
One is transmission rate is going down, meaning people are masking better, no? Second is contact rates are also down, no? Meaning people are also observing social distancing. And then third, that testing capacity has caught up, no, with the number of cases, so that we're able to catch those who are infectious and isolate and quarantine them immediately. You have to continue these helpful behaviors, no? Masking, early testing when symptomatic, but most important of all, no, those who have not been vaccinated should try to get vaccinated.
But as we know, mutations of viruses are very common. And we are now seeing the Delta Plus or AY.4.2, which looks very similar to the original Delta variant. Dr. Edsel, let's explain how these mutations happen and how are the two different, this Delta Plus and the Delta variant?
Well, mutations are actually spontaneous. They occur as a result of evolution. You can think of it as a ways of the virus to adapt, no? And as we are vaccinating, as we are increasing our exposure, because it's already been nearly 2 years now since the virus has been introduced into the human population, naturally viruses like this will mutate in order to adapt and maintain its hold on us, basically. Now, the Delta Plus is called such because it is derived from the original Delta. You can think of it as parang anak niya, no? So it is basically an evolution from that original Delta. And the reason why it is of concern is that it has some mutations in its spike protein, which is the one that interacts and is also with our body cells, and it's also the target of our vaccines, has changed in such a way that it could potentially become more infectious and possibly also evade our immune systems.
Dr. Edsel, when it comes to this even newer variant coming up, the Omicron variant, how does this compare with Delta Plus? Mas grabe ba tong si Omicron?
The Omicron variant that you're mentioning, or the B11529, no? This was reported early on. So it raised concerns because it has a lot of mutations that are quite concerning in what I mentioned, the spike protein. But I would also like to make it clear that there have only been several cases. And in South Africa, they noted a large number that, in proportion to the sampling that they're doing. So there are only a very few number of cases. So they've only raised the flag for now. It doesn't mean that it's already spreading at madaming.
Is it too early to have face-to-face gatherings with loved ones and relatives, which I know a lot of Filipinos are so eager to have already?
One, you should be vaccinated. Second, no, meet in a well-ventilated area, no, open space if possible. And third, mask up. Under these conditions, no, it would be safe to meet, no, but otherwise, no, you'll be at risk of getting infection, no, if any one of these conditions is absent.
But with the little information, or with the current information that we know with these two variants, does it seem like that the current vaccines may have a hard time in trying to hold these new variants back?
And it's too early to say because the number of cases aren't that sufficient enough to make a very strong recommendation. But in line with our understanding of the immunity that can be provided with the existing vaccines and the updates on the boosters, we believe that at the very least, it will provide protection, at least in the form of reducing severe and also hospitalization, which is something that you also have to consider.
Now, most Delta Plus infections have been seen in people who are unvaccinated, but studies also show that the variant has increased transmissibility even among the vaccinated people. Dr. Mark, why does this happen? Do we know why breakthrough infections occur more?
It's that the mutations in the spike protein of the Delta Plus are such that it is exquisitely efficient. Now, when we say exquisitely efficient, it means that it doesn't need as many viral particles in order to cause an infection. What I'm trying to say is it's not a problem of the vaccine that they are getting infected despite the fact that they are vaccinated, but because of the fact that the virus is mutating to such a way that it is more efficient at causing infections.
Dr. John, we've been emphasizing the importance for people to get vaccinated, and early on, the amount of vaccines was an issue. Is that still the problem now?
Herd immunity may no longer be possible, no, because of the high transmissibility of Delta, and also we have less than perfect vaccine efficacy, no. So our target should be 100% vaccination. What are the factors that affect full vaccination? First, availability of the supplies. No, so right now we probably have enough supply for about 55%, no, or 60% of the population. No, so if more people want to be vaccinated, no, we will not have enough. No. Second, accessibility. No, can people get to the vaccination sites? No, our vaccination rate for the elderly is only at 60%. So are these 40% having mobility issues? No, so we need to address that.
Now, scientists say that vaccines do a lot more than just trigger the production of neutralizing antibodies. Does this mean that booster shots add an extra layer of protection? More on this when we return. We're your connection to healthcare, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. The Health Department recently approved the provision of booster shots. But many ask, who can avail of these and how quickly? And what are the basic guidelines for getting one? I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We're together in health. Additional doses of the COVID-19 vaccine will soon be available to Filipinos before the end of 2021. A booster shot is an additional dose after the protection provided by the original one decreases over time. And usually a booster is given after the immunity from the initial dose starts to wane. Dr. John, who can get these booster shots? Who are eligible for these? And how long after should they be getting one after their last dose?
First is health workers, no? Because they're essential to protect the rest of the population. No? We don't want them to even get an infection. No? The second group are people whose immunity has waned, no? Months after their primary series, and who need additional protection, no? Because if they get hospitalized, no, it's usually more severe. No? So these are the elderly, people with comorbidities, no? And also people who are immunocompromised now.
Could you explain to our viewers the importance of a booster shot, and should they think of their original vaccine being non-effective? Should they get another set of vaccine of a different brand maybe?
So there's also this understanding that it looks like the primary series might have been more effective if there was an additional dose, but that information was not available at the time. So now that we've had about a year of experience, this is where we are coming in to adjust the dosing schedule. Now, for those who have already had a primary series, the booster shot is a single dose that comes thereafter, no? And based on the studies that have been done on booster shots, at least for the Philippines, no, the recommendation states that the preferred dose is Pfizer, regardless of your primary series, followed thereafter by homologous. Ibig sabihin nun, kung ano man yung initial dose primary series ninyo, yan din yung matatanggap nyo na booster shot. And this is based mostly on the safety profiles, of course, no, to minimize the side effects.
After getting the primary series, they're thinking of getting another brand, another type, an mRNA type, but with the two shots. Are there any risks to these? What can you advise to those who are contemplating this type of procedure?
If you're looking at Pfizer or mRNA vaccines as a booster shot, now they can increase your protection from primary infection by already above 90%. So a single dose is already effective. So therefore, at least for now, no, because the studies have yet to show if two-dose or a full schedule as booster compared to single booster is more effective. We don't know that yet because the time frame, hindi pa nakaabot tayo ng time to make that conclusion.
Now let's go over some of the details of recommendations made to the Health Department by the independent panel known as the Health Technology Assessment Council, or HTAC. Now the recommendation of the Health Technology Assessment Council includes giving booster shots for healthcare workers and senior citizens 6 months after they complete their single or two-dose COVID-19 vaccine, while immunocompromised patients are recommended to get additional shots at least 28 days after they complete their vaccination. There are 4 types of COVID-19 vaccines available here in the Philippines today, and you can see them on your screen. There's the whole virus vaccine, such as Sinovac and Sinopharm. Then there are the RNA or mRNA vaccines, which examples are the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. Third is the non-replicating viral vector, such as the AstraZeneca and Sputnik, and the protein subunit, such as Novavax. Is choosing one or the other still important, or is it still whatever is available in front of you is okay to get?
When you boost it, it's best to choose the most effective vaccine. Second, what is the supply availability in your region or in your LGU? And third, we've also seen that if we mix vaccine brands, sometimes that confers a greater immunity because it generates a broader immune response. So those are the reasons why mixing and matching is also a good idea.
Are there any risks to mixing and matching different types of vaccines, different boosters for that matter? What can you advise those who are wary about their own physical health?
It has been generally seen to be safe. There isn't an increased risk of side effects in with either group, and it has conferred. It has been able to provide the immunity that is needed from those mixed shots.
So Dr. John, really quick, now that the rollout for the pediatric age group, the 12 to 17 age group is underway, do we expect that the kids will need a booster shot then around 6 months down the road?
We need to observe the effect of the primary series on children. The clinical trials on children have just been concluded. There hasn't been sufficient follow-up period to see whether they will also experience the same amount of weaning.
What role do the unvaccinated play in the whole picture on how different variants come into play, Dr. John?
The increased transmissibility. So we still have a large pool of uninfected individuals, unvaccinated and uninfected. So variants will increase the rate at which these people become infected. What vaccines do is, if you think of the pool of susceptibles as a bathtub, what vaccination does, it drains the bathtub, so it reduces the number of susceptibles. So it also decreases your risk of getting these people infected. So that's the importance of getting as many people as possible vaccinated, so that they can develop immunity.
Now, it's been almost 2 years since the pandemic has started. When we return, we'll talk about the new treatments for COVID-19. Your health is our mission. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. There's currently no cure yet for COVID-19, but experts are studying the many different treatments that can be administered. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, where your care comes first. Scientists all over the world are looking for the antiviral drugs meant to reduce the risk of COVID-19 hospitalization as well as death. What do we know so far about this drug? Should the hopes and dreams of the Filipinos of a cure be assured with this new medication?
Molnupiravir is intended to be administered early on in the viral, if you look at it in terms of a timeline, in the early stages of the timeline upon infection. It's not intended to treat severe illness, and also it is not intended to be a prophylactic. So that means at early onset of symptoms, and if there's a high index of suspicion, even without a positive RT-PCR, you may choose to start it in order to shorten the duration of the illness and also hopefully decrease the probability of a patient requiring hospitalization in order to address the symptoms.
First batches have already arrived here in the Philippines. What does it look like in terms of distribution? Where will this drug be concentrated more? Who will be able to get this more?
The people who are eligible for this drug are the elderly and people with comorbidities. So it should be sent, or it should be distributed to areas where a lot of these A2 and A3 populations have not yet been vaccinated, no, because they are still at very high risk of hospitalization and disease.
Dr. John, what can you advise those who are thinking, I don't need to take the vaccine anymore because there is a drug, molnupiravir, is here? What can you advise to those who might be thinking that route?
There's a population have no other recourse, no, except to get vaccinated, no. But even for people for which molnupiravir is indicated, no, it's still best to get vaccinated, no, because the effect is more sustainable, no. Molnupiravir is effective only if you're given it within the first 5 days of onset of symptoms. No? If you miss that window, it's no longer effective.
What does our future look like? What do the future of Filipinos look like when it comes to this pandemic? Are we seeing light at the end of the tunnel?
I think people just have to realize na we're still in the midst of a pandemic, even if it doesn't feel like it. No? An analogy I used for my pamangkin is that para siyang, you know, when the cat is gone, the mouse comes out to play. It doesn't mean the cat's gone. No. So until the world has recovered, you know, people still have to be vigilant. People have to remember that it is still possible, habang marami pang taong hindi pa bakunado, that outbreak and, you know, infections can still occur, and it's something that we're going to have to work together to live with for at least the foreseeable future.
We definitely learned a lot from our experts today. Thank you, epidemiologist Dr. John Wong and Clinical Genomics Lab Head Dr. Mark Edsel Ayes. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
RPN Regional AM radio stations nationwide welcomes CNN Philippines, a first on radio, to bring you the latest news you can use, news you can trust. Listen to Newsnight weekdays